Part 83. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 825. I'll leave it to you, Minato, while I'm away. At the port terminal in the inner harbor, Qin held the hands of the Enterprise and King George V and said. Behind the two of them were a large number of ship girls seeing them off. As for why there was no Frederick the Great, that's because after Frederick the Great completed the ship conversion, he returned to the experimental site without staying much and replaced Bismarck. I understand, Commander, take care of yourself outside. We will arrange things in the port area. Enterprise smiled. Yes, the port area is running very smoothly now, and there are not many things that need to be dealt with. So don't worry, there won't be any problems here, King George V said with a smile. Yes, Qin nodded, and finally passed over the two of them and waved to the ship girls behind them with a smile. Suddenly, there were voices saying goodbye, and there were voices asking people to come back early. Although it seemed a bit messy, it was full of affection. After finally saying goodbye to everyone, Qin and Belfast boarded the command ship that belonged to him. On the command ship, several high-level officials from Donghuang and Chongying, as well as several embers, had been waiting for a long time. Commander, are you leaving now? Yuxian said with a smile. Let's go, Qin nodded. As the command ship began to sound its whistle, more than a dozen command ships began to gradually leave the port area and sail in the direction of Donghuang. Speaking of which, this is the first time I have gone to sea with the commander, but this time it is not a battle, but a celebration. Haha, it's a bit subtle. Musashi sat next to Qin and said with a smile. Qin smiled and said, I think this is good. If we go to sea together in the future, what we face is not war, but celebration, then all the world will be truly peaceful. But this appeal to the commander is just a thought. To be honest, the arrival of that day is really far away, Yuxian said. Qin shook his head. I believe that day will always come. Even if it is not the time we are at, someone will definitely see that day. When the soldiers return to the treasury and the horses are released in Nanshan, it will be the best time for us. Good results. Ha, I don't think that would be very good. At least now we have a common enemy, and we can also unite other camps to form an alliance. If the only common enemy disappears by then there is no telling how it will develop in the future. Genhai said with a smile. What Genhai said makes sense. Musashi smiled, looked at Qin and said, if such a day comes, which camp will you help? Qin blinked. I don't think that day will come, because if that happens, I don't mind reuniting the 9 camps. Qin answer made all the ship girls' eyes light up, and Bismarck nodded to Qin with appreciation. The Lord's answer is really surprising, but it is also in line with the Lord's character. But I still don't expect such a thing to happen. By then, all the battles and all the sadness will really be over, and you can really enjoy it. That hard-won peace, Magi said with a smile. Peace will not always exist. Peace must be fought for by ourselves. Songlin smiled and said, from ancient times to the present, war has always been the driving force of human progress. Maybe we will face more battles in the future. We will definitely win together. That's right. Instead of hoping for peace, it's better to create peace yourself. The commander and I have the same ideas. Bismarck smiled. Suddenly, I feel that some of the commander's recent thoughts are becoming more and more chilling to iron-blooded. Although this kind of thinking is indeed necessary, it is also necessary to open your mind to accept differences, but don't insist on having your own way, Genhai said at the side. Qin nodded, don't worry, this is just a standard. If I had always adhered to this idea, I would not go to Donghuang or Chongying. Well, that's good. I also believe that the commander will understand the situation and make the most correct decision, Genhai said. Not far away on the other side, Ember's flying dragon looked at the scene and nodded, and the reputation next to him said, it seems quite suitable. Fei Long said, yeah, after all, it was recommended by that adult. Actually, excluding the reason for that gentleman, I think he is not bad. At least he can convince so many people in the port area, and we all have a good impression of him. This is already very rare, Sheng Sheng said. I said, is it appropriate for the two of you to discuss these issues here in a big way, said the counterattack on the side. They can't hear it. Fei Long was stunned for a moment and then said. Well, as long as you're happy, counterattack shrugged. The command ship continued to sail, because there were no sirens in the recent sea area, so it was traveling at the highest speed. The time that originally took more than a week to reach Donghuang has now been shortened a lot. But compared to the time it took to return to Guam from the Atlantic Ocean, this time is basically a vacation. Qin Ji had nothing to do these 2 days. He was either chatting with the ship girls in the hall of the command room, or going to the deck of the command ship to sunbathe with the ship girls. It was boring to say the least. But fortunately, there are a few big foxes with me. If nothing happens, I can pinch the tail of this fox or touch the ears of that fox. Sometimes I feel quite comfortable. Akagi and Kaga will also come over, but perhaps because Qin Ji has been with Magi, they have not dared to act too aggressively in front of Qin Ji, but verbal teasing is definitely indispensable. Finally, after several days of travel, everyone arrived at the Donghuang Sea area. Not long after entering the Donghuang Sea area, they encountered the team greeted by Donghuang. Commander Qin Ji, welcome back to Donghuang again, Ning Hai said with a smile. Hello, Ning Hai, long time no see. Qin Ji smiled and said, how is Donghuang's recovery now? The last siren tide caused relatively large losses to Donghuang. Now the infrastructure has basically been restored, but the combat effectiveness cannot be restored for the time being. At the very least, like other camps, we have to retreat to offshore defense. Fortunately, this period time has not been invaded by the sirens, otherwise even these actions would be delayed, Ning Hai said. Well, according to the latest information I got, Siren was also seriously injured due to the last attack, and it will take some time to recover, so we can make good use of this period of time to consolidate and strengthen our strength, Qin Ji said with a smile. If this is really the case, that would be great. Come back to Donghuang with me first. Sister Yuxian has been waiting for you to come back, Ning Hai smiled. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 826. Donghuang Commander Academy Port. Qin Ji, welcome home. These were the first words Yuxian said when he saw Qin Ji. Hearing this, Qin Ji was stunned for a moment, and then laughed. Thank you, Yuxian. Yes, I haven't been back for a long time. Originally, we prepared a grand welcome ceremony for you, but now that you have chosen the landing point here, it seems that all our preparations were in vain, Yuxian said with a smile. Qin Ji touched his nose and said, haha, I'm sorry, I don't like to make a big show of things, and I'm too familiar with this port, so I'd better come up from here. But you are making it difficult for me to do this. I have not prepared a ceremony to welcome you beside Yuxian, the Prince of Wales said with a smile. There's no need for a welcome ceremony or anything like that when I get home, Qin Ji smiled, and there's no need to make any more preparations. Dean, can I still keep my house? Oh, can you not stay? And that guest house has now become a tourist attraction. It was the place where Qin Ji, the most outstanding commander who saved Donghuang from danger, once lived, the Prince of Wales said with a smile. I said I'm still here, my former residence and the like. Qin Ji said speechlessly. Haha, there's nothing we can do about that. After all, what you did before was really awesome, Mikasa smiled. Qin Ji smiled and said, I just did what I should do. I dare not forget a word of what the Dean and everyone else taught me. How long do you plan to stay when you come back this time? Yuxian asked. About a month. Anyway, the siren can't recover for a while after the last siren tide, so there isn't much going on in the port area. I left Enterprise and Frederick the Great to stay in the port area. Enough. This time I plan to stay in Donghuang for about a month, then go to Chongying for a month, and then go back. Qin Ji said. Looking at the group of Chongying ship girls behind Qin Ji, Yuxian nodded in understanding. Actually, if you want to go to Chongying, now is the best time. This season is when the cherry blossoms are in bloom. If you go in May, there are maybe the flowering season is over. Ha, I didn't expect Yuxian to know so much about this aspect, Qin Ji said with a smile, but this time, the preparation for going to Chongying is on Chongying Island. As for other places, we don't have many plans for the time being. There is Nagato there. The barrier we have set up allows you to see cherry blossoms whenever you go, so I don't care about those times. Only on the main island? I thought you were going to take your ship girl to Chongying to travel around, Yuxian said with a smile. Qin Ji touched his nose and said, speaking of which, I haven't even been to many places here in Donghuang, let alone other places. At that time, I stayed here as soon as I came to the academy. At most, I could run farther when I went out to do tasks. Then I went to Ryu Island and Guam. I didn't travel around much. I stayed in the port area more often. Last year, due to the siren tide, I traveled to many places, but I only stayed in cities of major camps and left after only a short stay. Suddenly I found that I seemed to be squatting at home. I settled down as soon as I arrived at a place and had no idea of looking around. Haha, this actually shows that you are a person who can keep your character, Yuxian said with a smile. But it seems like you have a lot more ship girls this time, and the aura on them is very different. Qin Ji nodded, that's true. Let me introduce it to you. You must be very familiar with Donghuangs. There are also several camp leaders that I won't introduce too much. This one is Musashi from Shiji Sakura, this one is Shimekaze, this one is from the Royal Vanguard, this one is the iron-blooded Ulrich von Hutten, this one is from the Northern Alliance's Kaiser Ronstadt. Following Qin Ji's introduction, Yuxian nodded to everyone, to receive such a solemn introduction from Qin Ji, and the aura faintly revealed from their bodies, they must be legends of the sea, right? Qin Ji smiled and said, that's true. They are all legends of the sea, and I would like to introduce a few to you. Qin Ji said, and moved his body out of the way, letting out the people from behind. This is the Flying Dragon of Ember, this is the Reputation, and the Counterattack Sisters. They are all in my port area at the moment. I believe you guys, it's clear. Well, I heard that Anshin and the others already reported it when they came back. Yuxian nodded solemnly and said politely to Filong and the others, I'm glad to meet you all, and I'm very grateful to you for your contribution to this world in the Siren Tide. On behalf of the Donghuan camp, I would like to say hello to everyone for your efforts. Hello. Filong and the others nodded and stopped talking. Qin Ji smiled and said, that's just how they are. I hope you don't mind. Yuxian shook his head and said with a smile, it's okay, and they are already very polite. It's windy in the port, so we'd better go inside the school. The Prince of Wales smiled, we have a lot to ask you. Okay, Qin Ji agreed readily. Soon, several people walked towards the school. After arranging for others to go to the original guest house to rest temporarily, Qin Ji took several leaders and Yuxian to the small conference room of the school. How is the current situation on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean? As soon as he sat down, Yuxian asked Qin Ji, the communication has not been restored yet, and we do not have a sufficient grasp of the situation there. You came back there not long ago, I believe you must know something, right? Qin Ji nodded, actually, the situation of all the major camps in the Siren Tide this time is similar. On the whole, Donghuang and Chongying have suffered relatively light losses. Beiying has the longest coastline and the most serious losses. The other camps below are similar. After all, we passed too late. And when we passed by, they were all ready to fight to the death and march towards the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. It seems that everyone was hurt this time, Yuxian said with some emotion, but if it is like this, the next siren tide will probably be even more difficult for each camp. Haha, actually the sirens are not feeling well, otherwise the siren tide has been going on for so long, and not even a single siren has been found in the sea area, Qin Ji said with a smile. Perhaps they are waiting for the opportunity to wipe us out in one wave, Yuxian said. Qin Ji shook his head, not for the time being. I have received reliable information that the siren will not make any big moves in the next 2 years. Maybe we will see mass production of siren in the sea in the future, but the siren as for Renqiao, it won't happen for the time being. Hey, Qin Ji, why are you so sure? Who gave you the information? Asked the Prince of Wales. Purifier. Qin Ji touched his nose and said. Yuxian and the Prince of Wales looked at each other. It seems there are many things we don't know. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 827. How can I explain it to you? In short, this situation is a bit complicated. The specific start is when I first encountered the Mirror Sea. You also know my situation, and I also reported that encounter in the Mirror Sea. Pass you. Qin Ji looked at Yuxian and the Prince of Wales and said, his words full of sincerity, but also full of helplessness. We do know this, Yuxian nodded. So from that time on, Siren became interested in you. Qin Ji shook his head. No, actually it started back when I summoned Shinano for the first time. Do you still remember the hypothesis I told you at the beginning, that this world is the experimental ground for sirens? I remember, but your original prediction was a bit too shocking, so most people didn't believe it. But after this siren tide, I think most people should have believed it, Yuxian nodded. Actually, I only learned this information later. Part of it came from Ember and the other part came from the sirens. Or I should call them antiques, Qin Ji said. Anticus? Fight against X? What is X? Ship Girl, the Prince of Wales said keenly. Qin Ji shook his head. I don't know the details now. Whenever I ask them about specific events, they always refuse to answer because I am not strong enough. But what I can figure out now is that the world we live in now is a numbered world. There are countless sirens in worlds like this, and they are all composed of data and systems, providing sufficient data support for Antix's research. The one above the numbered world is called the main world. The biggest difference between the main world and the numbered world is that the main world undergoes diversified changes according to the historical process. So for this reason, there is only one ship girl of each type in the main world, and their unified name is called ship, also called Kansan. Moreover, there are no commanders in the main world, and those social camps are entirely composed of ships. They have more power than ship girls, and they also have greater possibilities than ship girls. Some overworlds have even indirectly given birth to ember ships. And above the main world is the world where everything happens, which is also the original world, called the original world. All main worlds and numbered worlds evolve based on the original world. Each main world and numbered world is Antix's testing ground, including our world. Before, you could clearly feel that there were changes in this world. That was because this world was promoted from the numbered world to the main world, so there was an arbiter. At this point, looking at Yuxian and the Prince of Wales who were listening carefully, Qin Ji couldn't help coughing. It's a bit far, but these are the basic conditions of our world, and it is precisely because of this that my appearance attracted Antix's attention. Originally, as a numbered world, it was impossible to break through the limits of the world, which meant that it was impossible to break through the limits set by the sirens. For example, this world cannot give birth to ships, this world cannot give birth to legendary level ship girls at sea, etc. But everything was broken when I summoned Shinano, which also triggered the sirens' attack on the main island of Sakura. So much so that the subsequent Mirror Sea area was all because of this. In fact, they also hate things that are static, and hope to find more changeable and uncontrollable factors through experiments. And I am that factor to them, so in that Mirror Sea, I obtained some things and some information they told me. Later, in the continued battles, I became more and more familiar with the siren, so much so that the purifier is now in my port area, playing with my ship girls every day. It's really incredible. Yuxian said, looking at Shinji. Yeah, if I wasn't sure that I could trust you, I would have thought that what you said was just telling a story, the Prince of Wales said. So how many people have this information now? Shinji touched his nose and said, among the 9 major camps, you are the first to know. Although this is not a secret that cannot be passed down from generation to generation, I still hope that you can continue to keep it secret, because if such a thing is leaked, it will cause serious consequences. Many reactions may collapse the order of this world and cause irreparable losses. Well, since you knew that this would cause such a situation, why did you tell us? Isn't it good to keep hiding this information? Yuxian said with a smile. It's not bad, but we have to find a reliable partner, and the first one I can think of now is Donghuang. This is the place where I grew up, and it is also the place where I have the most affection, and Donghuang's philosophy and other camps have different ideas, and I feel that if we can seek real cooperation, this is my first choice, Shinji said. Yuxian and the Prince of Wales looked at each other and couldn't help laughing. Your hat is a bit high now. How can we refuse after saying these things? Haha, so you agreed, Shinji asked. Not necessarily yet. I want to hear what kind of cooperation you want to do. If it involves plundering our Donghuang family wealth, then it's definitely not possible, Yuxian said. Definitely not, it should be more of a strategic partnership, Shinji said. We will talk about cooperation later. Anyway, we have plenty of time. Now I want to ask you something. So as you said, the sirens will not attack you in the future, the Prince of Wales asked. Shinji shook his head. No, not only will they not stop attacking, they will also concentrate on attacking me. I also said before that their biggest purpose in this world is to conduct experiments, and my existence and the strength of my current fleet for them, it is a very big change. So they want to test how much energy this mutation will produce. It is precisely because of this that the purifiers came to my port area, to enhance the strength of my fleet on the one hand, and to determine the strength of my fleet on the other. Information. The battle where I am will be more brutal in the future, and the enemy I may face every day is the Saren elite fleet, or high-level units such as arbiters. At the cost of this, the attack probability and intensity of attacks from the 9 major camps will be greatly reduced in the future. This is actually good news, as it will give you a chance to relax and regain your previous strength. So based on your current fleet strength, can you withstand the concentrated attacks of the sirens? Yuxian asked. I don't know the details now, because there is relatively little information about the purifier. She only said the specific time when she appeared, and did not say the intensity of the attack. Shinji smiled, but I firmly believe that no matter how many people come, enemy, I will lead my fleet to the final victory. And I will also bring my fleet to change the situation of this world, end this experiment, and let this world truly return to the peaceful stage. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 828. So what kind of help do you need? Yuxian smiled. I need steel, a steady stream of steel, Shinji said to Yuxian. Steel, Yuxian frowned. Although steel is not a very scarce resource, you can say it so solemnly, and the demand is very high. I believe it must be very important to you, right? Qin Ji nodded. I don't want to hide too much, the reason I need steel is to build more ships. My ship girl is now being transformed into a ship with the help of embers, which is the only ship that exists in the main world as I told you before. The transformation of this kind of ship requires my help and enough steel, and the results after the transformation are also very gratifying. Although our fleet can rely on time to piece together more steel, if the ship girl in the port area can be transformed faster, it will have a more positive effect on our future operations. Ship, do you mean to transform your ship girl into the only ship that exists in the main world as you said before? Is that kind of ship very strong? Yuxian asked in surprise. I can only say that it is very strong. If my fleet could not compete with the arbitration agency before, then if the fleet is transformed into ships, it can collide with them head-on, Qin Ji said. Such a big improvement. It's even more powerful than Awakening, the Prince of Wales sighed. Qin Ji looked at Nagato aside. Nagato, show me the strength you have gained. Nagato nodded, stretched out his hand to the Prince of Wales. I'm sorry. There was a flash of light on her hand, and then the Prince of Wales' whole body shook, and a trace of cold sweat flowed down the Prince of Wales' face. Wales, Yuxian looked at the Prince of Wales in surprise. When she wanted to put her hand on the Prince of Wales's shoulder, she was suddenly bounced away. Qin Ji nodded to Nagato. That's it? Nagato withdrew the light from his hand in an instant, and the Prince of Wales relaxed and began to breathe quickly. This kind of power. It's so terrifying, it seems to imprison his soul. Is it that scary? Yuxian asked. The Prince of Wales nodded with some fear. In an instant, I felt as if my soul was frozen. The whole person was no longer my own. This kind of power was almost crushing, and I was completely trapped in it all at once. Sorry, I have just mastered this power not long ago, so I may lack some proficiency in controlling it, Nagato said apologetically. It doesn't matter, this will also allow me to feel the difference in power between the ship and the ship girl. I finally know why Qin Ji is so eager to get steel. If the ship girl can almost master such power after transforming into a ship, then it is indeed a terrifying fleet. It may only take 1 or 2 fleets to settle what happened on the front line. The Prince of Wales said with admiration. Although I didn't feel it directly, it was able to easily deflect my movements. This kind of power is really shocking, Yuxian nodded. Qin Ji, can this kind of transformation be popularized on a large scale? Qin Ji shook his head. It's impossible. Although our current world has been converted into the main world, it is impossible to exceed the limit of the main world. In other words, each type of ship girl can only be transformed into a ship. And the most important thing is, I must be there. You also know that I am a person from another world, and ship transformation is to seek the origin of the ship, which is the original expectation for the ship. Therefore, even if you master this technology, you will not be able to implement ship conversion, because you will not be able to build expectations for the ship and pass on history. And I discovered one thing, that is, all the ships that have been converted have established a soul link with me. This may be because they are originally my ships, or it may be because my expectations turned them into ships. I see, Yuxian nodded. This also explains why after you became the commander, the world changed differently from before. Maybe, there really are people like the Son of Destiny, and you are one of them. It has changed the course of the world, thus putting the world on a different path that we cannot predict, but this is not bad. In fact, when I first learned about you from the Prince of Wales, I had a hunch that maybe you would be very different in the future, but I didn't expect that it would become so surprising now. It seems that letting go and letting you go on your own is the most correct choice I made. Here, as the Commander-in-Chief of Donghuang, I promise you that Donghuang will do its best to support your actions. Qin Ji said in surprise, is it really possible? Of course, you have responded to Donghuang's expectations, so Dong Huang will definitely respond to your expectations. Without your help in the last Siren Tide, Dong Huang may have been completely defeated. Such kindness will always be felt by Dong Huang. Remember, especially since you came out of Dong Huang will always be your support, Yuxian said. Don't worry, I will always remember Dong Huang's friendship. If there is any need for me, I will definitely come forward, Qin Ji said to Yuxian. Well, regarding future cooperation, we will discuss it in detail later. What I am more interested in now is your understanding of the ship girls and sirens. Can you tell us more information? We are really curious, Yuxian said. Qin Ji smiled and said, I have sorted out some information about this type of information. I can dictate some things that are not on it first, and I will pass the information to you when the time comes. That's really great. We will treat this information as Dong Huang's top secret and will not let it out, Yuxian said with a smile. Ha, as long as the information is not passed on to the general commanders, it actually doesn't matter if other senior officials know, Qin Ji said with a smile. It's up to you to give it to the other camps. We won't be the ones to leak the secrets, Yuxian said. Qin Ji smiled and said, well, after a while, all the major camps will come to Guam to set up contact points. If you have time, I will pass it on to them. It can also strengthen the relationship between us. After all, we need to changing the world is not something I can do alone. That's right, Yuxian nodded, but among the people who came to Dong Huang and Chongying this time, there seemed to be a lot of powerful ones. It seems like your goal is not just to visit us. Yes, after leaving Chongying, there is one more thing to do, which may require top combat power, so I took them with me, by the way, Qin Ji said with a smile. I see, then I won't ask you what the specific matter is. In short, I hope you can live happily in Dong Huang these days, Yuxian said. Thank you, Yuxian. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 829. Qin Ji and a group of ship girls walked to the road and walked towards the guest house. Commander seems to trust Dong Huang very much, Musashi said with a smile while walking on the road. Haha, Lord Musashi may not know something. My lord has special feelings for Dong Huang, and Dong Huang is also very good to my lord. This can be regarded as mutual benefit, Magi replied. Is that so? Musashi looked inside the school. So you went to school here before and became a commander? Qin Ji nodded, yes, in the blink of an eye, more than 4 years have passed, and I have been away from the academy for nearly 3 years. Things here are still very familiar, but things have changed. This is inevitable. In addition to the teachers, some of the students in the school have joined the commander's fleet, while others are scattered in various cities. But I don't know how they can survive the last Siren Tide. How many are left? Veneto said. I don't know, Qin Ji sighed. I suddenly want to take a trip to the old street. I wonder which of you wants to go. Laoja? Commander, you want to see Wan Lao and the others, right? Richelieu asked. Well, Dong Huang's commander was seriously injured this time, so they must have gotten the news. If I never showed up, I'm afraid the 2 old men would be sad. Although we can't stay in Dong Huang for a long time now, it must be good to go over there to say hello, eat and chat with them. Qin Ji said. Then shall we go now or later? Magi asked. Tomorrow, let's count who is going today, but it's best to control the number of people. If too many people go, it will cause a commotion, Qin Ji said. I guess everyone will go. After all, we are going out with the commander, so it is best for the commander to make the decision, Bismarck said. Qin Ji scratched his head and said, that's right, then go back and think about it before making a decision. Commander, don't be too upset. After all, we have to stay in Dong Huang for about a month, so we have plenty of time. We can't go more than once, but we can come as convenient as possible, Jinhai said with a smile. Qin Ji nodded, that's true. The scenery in the old street is pretty good. We can go around a few more times. Haha, after hearing what the commander said, I'm also a little interested, Musashi said with a smile. Well, don't worry, I won't miss you. While everyone was laughing and chatting, they returned to the guest house. Belfast has already tidied up Qin Ji's room. It's still the same location and looks the same. Huh, I'm back again. This place is so familiar. Qin Ji brushed the back of the chair and said with a smile. I'm afraid this is the most profound memory for the owner, right? Belfast said with a smile. Yes, everything started here. Although I didn't live in this house at first, I have lived here for a long time, Qin Ji said with a smile. I can miss it when I come back this time, but I won't miss it next time. I know when I can come here again. Master, if you want to come back, we can accompany you back then. Guam is not far from here, just a few days' journey away. Our fleet has been formed. Isn't it very simple to come back here by then? Belfast said. Qin Ji smiled and shook his head, but I think I won't have time in the future. Just like what Song King had told him before, the last Siren Tide was just an appetizer, or just an introduction. The Guardian plan has been launched, and the strength of his fleet is rapidly developing and changing qualitatively. There is no stopping now, and after the steel-related cooperation is negotiated with Donghuang and Chongqing, there will be continuous battles almost starting from the secret room of the Northern Alliance. Because there are only two ways for people to make progress, one is to strengthen their own abilities, and the second is to encounter various challenges. The Guardian plan is now being implemented in the first phase, and the main purpose of this phase is to rapidly develop the strength of Qin Ji's fleet in order to reach a condition that can enter the next battlefield. The second stage is an endless test. Through these tests, he continuously accumulates his ability to adapt to changes in order to ensure that he can lead all ship girls to survive in the boundless sea of stars in the future. Therefore, time will become increasingly tight in the future, and there will even be no time for dating with the ship girls. As for returning to Donghuang to revisit the old place again, that is even more extravagant. So this time, the most critical reason why I stayed in Donghuang for such a long time is also here. Perhaps this is the last time he comes to Donghuang, and the next time may be after the end of the world. Master, are you saying that everyone will keep inviting you and then leave you with no independent time? Belfast said with a smile. I don't think that's the case. Even if everyone invites me, I can still make time. But in the future, I think our war will become more and more intense. By then, even if I want to make time, I won't be able to do it. Qin Ji laughed. Laugh. Anyway, let's put an end to all thoughts this time and settle the past. Belfast's eyes changed slightly, and she suddenly felt as if Qin Ji was hiding something from her. But what happened? She knows almost everything that happens in the port area, except for some situations and the private matters of other ship girls, but now that Qin Ji can show that kind of expression, what will happen next? What are you saying, Master? We still have a long time ahead. Although things may hold us back, even if it doesn't happen in 1 year, it can still happen in 2, 3, or even 4 years. Wouldn't it be nice to come here with you again when I have time? I believe Dean Prince of Wales is willing to stay here and wait for your return, said Belfast. Well, maybe. Qin Ji smiled. Let's not talk about it for now. Let's take a rest. Yuxian will prepare a welcome party in the evening. Good master. Time passed quickly, and when Qin Ji came back to his senses, it was already getting late. Under the service of Belfast, he put on his commander's uniform and pinned the badges issued by other major camps on his chest. This time, the banquet held by Donghuang was not far away, in the auditorium inside the school. Originally, Yuxian planned to hold it at the headquarters, but Qin Ji said that it was too far away, so it was better to hold it here. Yuxian had no choice but to agree, but it was good to hold it here since both parties were very familiar with it. As the night grew darker, the celebration ceremony held by Dong Huang finally began. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 830. The auditorium was splendid at night. When Qin Ji brought the ship girls to the auditorium, they were welcomed by the Prince of Wales, Yuxian, and others. Oh, good boy, the Order of Honor of the White Eagle, the Royal Cross of Iron, the Order of Victory of the Northern Union, the Order of Merit of the Iron Blood, the Order of the Legion of Honor of the Iris, the Cross of Merit of Sardinia. It seems that you have gained a lot from the Atlantic team. Now you only need Dong Huang and Chongying, and you can collect all the highest medals from the 9 camps. This is an unprecedented honor in history. The Prince of Wales looked at the medal on Qin Ji's chest and said with emotion. Qin Ji smiled, actually, I still deserve it. After all, I just did what a commander of Azalane should do. The biggest gain from accepting these medals is that it allows me to work harder as a commander in the future. No, this is not the time to be humble. After all, the 9 major camps will never misjudge anyone. Since they can give you the highest merit medal, it naturally means that you have met the conditions for obtaining the merit medal and you are a strong person. And crossing the Pacific Ocean and going to the Atlantic Ocean for such a long distance to gallop support is such a great perseverance and sense of responsibility. Mikasa said with a smile. That's true. The victory medal made of pure gold is definitely a special medal and represents your special merits. I have never seen any commander receive such a medal, even as a Northern Alliance ship. Mom, no one has ever received such a special honor, Aurora said with a smile. Haha, I think now is not the time to say this. Since other camps have expressed their opinions, as the commander-in-chief of Dong Huang, Yuxian, do you also want to express your opinions? Kang Long, the director of the Maritime Safety Bureau, said with a smile. Yuxian smiled and said, this is natural. According to Dong Huang's system, there are 2 kinds of medals as the highest honor, one is the Qiaoguang medal and the other is the Liberation medal. But at this moment, no medal can measure Brother Qin's contribution to Dong Huang. I have discussed this issue with other people before, so I created a special medal. When she said this, Yuxian spread her hands, and a box containing a medal appeared in her hands. I saw her opening the medal box, and there was a medal with a special shape lying quietly inside. I saw that the entire medal was made of gold, with the dragon-shaped symbol representing Dong Huang in the center, and the outer circle was a pattern of shining light, and under the pattern were 2 crossed swords. Logo. This medal is so beautiful, what's its name? The Prince of Wales asked with a smile. The medal of the Brilliant Dragon represents the Dragon of Eastern Glory and can only be awarded to the most outstanding commander who has changed the course of Eastern Glory, Yuxian explained. Tisk, Yuxian is really willing to give up, Mikasa exclaimed, this Brilliant Dragon medal has suppressed all the medals from other camps at once. I didn't mean that, but I think Qin Ji's achievements are worthy of this medal to compliment him. Yuxian smiled, then looked at Qin Ji and said. Such meritorious service can no longer be represented by a medal. Qin Ji's name will forever be carried in the annals of Dong Huang's naval history, and will also be forever carried in the annals of the world's naval history. Qin Ji watched Yuxian take out the badge and hang it on his chest. Then he raised his arm and gave Yuxian a very standard military salute. I will bear in mind your expectations and make my due contribution to this world. Haha, not bad. The only thing missing next is Shichisakuras. I think according to Nagato's character, your medal will never escape. Mikasa smiled, and then she looked at the Shichisakuras senior executives surrounding Qin Ji. Actually, I really feel that the real power of the Chongying camp is with you, and not on the Chongying Island. Qin Geking coughed. Actually, he couldn't say Chongying, but he wanted to say that the real top powers in the 9 major camps in the world were by his side. Whether it is the camp leader of each camp, the planning ship of the camp, or the legendary maritime legend. Now he can say with dignity that his power is the top power in the world. But having said that, you still have to be polite when you should be polite. Mikasa-senpai is really too praiseworthy. Although my kanji is indeed stronger now, it is still Nagato and Wikaku who are the ones who truly inherit the tradition of Chongsakura and protect the people of Chongsakura, so our fleet is still incomparable to them. Haha, when will you change your humble character? If it were me, I would have admitted it a long time ago. Maryland, who was following Mikasa, said. Haha. Everyone laughed all of a sudden, and the previously serious scene became more relaxed. After chatting with Euxian, the Prince of Wales and others for a long time, they politely said goodbye and left the entire banquet venue to Qin and his ship girls. After all, they were the protagonists today. Commander, I heard that when you were in other camps, you danced with every companion. Now that you are in Donghuang, should you also fulfill such responsibilities? Genhai said with a smile. Qin was stunned for a moment. Didn't you skip it when you returned to the port area for a banquet? How can that be counted? Moreover, it was not mentioned specifically at that time. Now that we have come to Donghuang, we should start the calculation again. Logically speaking, the first person should start with Nashiro. Magi was also on the side. Said with a smile. Qin head was full of black lines. I feel that you are plotting against me, and I have evidence. Commander, will you dance or not? Node's dress looks very nice today. Agano, who was originally watching the excitement from the outside, ran forward, pulled Node and said to Qin. Qin turned around and saw that Nashiro today was wearing a blue-black dress and a pair of stockings on his legs that reached to his waist. The whole person had a special sense of beauty. Ahem, jump, you have to jump. Qin touched his nose and agreed happily. Although he was a little tired to be able to dance with so many beautiful ship girls, even Qin couldn't refuse. It was just a joke before. Then Commander, please give me your advice. Well, let's come together. This medal is purely earned by myself. So I made up a temporary medal of the brilliant dragon so that everyone can understand the meaning. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 831. It feels like everything here hasn't changed much, it's still so leisurely, Veneto said with some nostalgia as he looked at the entrance of the old street. Qin nodded, yeah, not much has changed, or nothing has changed since we left. Maybe more than 2 years is a relatively long time for us, but for here, 2 years is a long time. Years are just 2 springs and autumns. Let's go in first, otherwise it will be a little conspicuous if we stand here, Bismarck said. Good. A few people nodded and walked inside from the entrance of the old street. Qin came here wearing a commander's uniform. Although there are fewer commanders here after experiencing the Siren Tide, it does not mean that there are none. So it was not him who stood out, but the ship girls following him. People like Veneto, Bismarck, Belfast, Magi, etc. have extraordinary temperaments and figures, so no matter how well they are hidden, they will attract countless glances. Fortunately, these eyes did not stay on them for too long. After all, people here have seen too many ship girls and commanders. Along the way, when everyone came to a stall, Belfast stopped for a moment. Master, do you still remember this? Belfast said, pointing to the stall. Haha, me and man, I remember when the destroyers came over, what they liked most was watching this old man making me and man, Qin said with a smile. Haha, so the masked figure in Miss Guanghui's hand was made here with the commander, asked Veneto on the side. Qin nodded, but his face was a little surprised. Is the glorious man still there? Yes, Miss Guanghui protects her very carefully. Although after such a long time, the masked man has inevitably been slightly deformed, but the clear outline can still be distinguished, Belfast said with a smile. Qin Ji smiled, remembering the way Guanghui was holding the mask carefully at that time, and felt a little moved in his heart. Okay. Why don't we wait for a while? How about we come over here and make noodles together? We finally need to leave something to commemorate Magi suggested with a smile. This is a good idea. In fact, I have wanted to have a face man for a long time. Although it is not a cherished thing, it contains an experience we and the commander have gone through. Veneto was a little eager to try. Qin Ji smiled and said, then come over later. Now we have to go to Juan's home. Depending on the time, maybe they are still out. Turning around the noodle maker's stall, we found that it was actually not that far from Wan Lao's home. The number of people on the road gradually thinned out, and after turning around an alley, we finally came to a familiar place. You can see the inside of the alley from the intersection. As Qin Ji said before, there are still familiar stalls in front of the familiar door. But what is different from what you imagined is that it is now time to close the stalls. When he saw a familiar figure slowly moving the tables and benches home, a sense of excitement about returning home filled Qin Ji's heart. He walked quickly towards the old man and said loudly when he was close, Wan Lao. The old man stopped what he was doing, turned his head and looked at Qin Ji, and was stunned on the spot. But soon, Lao Wan responded, you kid, how many times have I told you, call me Lao Wan, don't call me Wan Lao, I'm not that old yet. Haha, Wan Lao is certainly not that old. It's very easy to see you moving the table, Qin Ji said with a smile and walked forward. You kid. Lao Wan couldn't hold himself any longer. When did you come back? I just arrived at the commander's academy yesterday. I may stay in Donghuang for a while. Why don't I come over to see you too today, Qin Ji said and was about to take the table from Lao Wan. But this movement was stopped by Lao Wan. Don't move this. They finished their meal in the morning and there is still a lot of oil on it. It's hard for you to move while wearing your uniform. Hey. That's not what you said when I was in Minghai City. Even though I was wearing new clothes, I still ran around holding the table every day, Qin Ji said with a smile, taking the table from Lao Wan's hand. Come over. It's been such a long time, and you still remember what happened at that time. Are you really so petty? As he spoke, Lao Wan's eyes turned a little red. Just come back and be safe. It was already time to close the stall, so Qin Ji came at the right time. With the help of several ship girls, tables, stools, and other items were quickly put in. Sitting in the living room, looking at some familiar furnishings, Qin Ji looked around and said, where's the aunt? Oh, she's not here. She was picked up by her daughter. Lao Wan sat next to Qin Ji, holding the tea poured by Belfast and said, how should I put it, last year's siren tide caused more losses to your commander. More, and since you haven't written for more than a year, she is more worried, fearing that you will be like our son. As this person gets older, he is worried every day, and he is also quite busy on weekdays, so he is prone to poor health. After her daughter found out, she went to Shenhua City to pick her up and live there for a while to recuperate. Who knew you were back now? If so, you wouldn't have to be taken back. I believe your aunt will recover faster after seeing you. Qin Ji felt a little guilty after hearing this. When I wrote the last letter, I was still on Ryu Island, and there was a Maritime Safety Administration there who could help send the letter back. Later I went to Guam, which is not far from the center of the Pacific Ocean, so it was more difficult to get to Donghuang. So I can't send letters or anything, which makes you worried. It's okay, we understand your difficulties. For example, when my son was here, he would often lose faith after being away for a long time. We are already used to it. It's just that the fighting this time has been too fierce. Even here we can hear the sound of artillery shells coming from the seaside, So your aunt is worried. But we are relieved to see that you are here intact and well. Lao Wan said with a smile. But Madame Wan has returned to Minghai, why don't you go back? Qin Ji asked. We can't both go back and cause trouble for our daughter. Besides, I'm used to living here, and the people here also like to eat the food I cook, so I stayed. It's a good thing that I stayed, otherwise you would when I came back, neither of us were there, wouldn't it be amiss? Lao Wan said. That's true, but I remember when you were in Minghai, Mrs. Wan wouldn't leave the stall every day as long as you weren't around anymore. She seems to be a lot more diligent now, Qin Ji said with a smile. Hey, your wings are stiff, right? Now you're going to make fun of me, Lao Wan said with a smile. Actually, your aunt left some tasks for me when she left, so I had to go on. Haha, no wonder. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 832. Night is gradually coming, no matter how beautiful the reunion is, there is a moment of separation. Qin Ji originally didn't want Lao Wan to give it as a gift, but he couldn't resist his stubborn temper. It's not enough to send them out through the door. Qin Ji's people have to be sent to the exit of the old street. Then he watched Qin Ji and others get into the car and stand there waving goodbye. Seeing this scene, although I knew in my heart that this world was a virtual world built by sirens, how could Qin Ji think so of a living person with free will? The body waving goodbye is also the sustenance of emotions. Isn't it the same for people, whether it's real or virtual? Sitting in the car, Qin Ji waved to Lao Wan, told him to come back next time, and reassured him, then left the old street with the ship girls. Looking at the receding scenery outside the car window, Qin Ji felt a little emotional and his eyes became lost in thought. Commander, what are you thinking about? Looking so lost, Veneto was sitting with Qin Ji and was a little confused when he saw Qin Ji looking like this. For her, Qin Ji should be happy to see his old friend today. It was not like him to look so heavy and lost in thought. Qin Ji came back to his senses, turned to Veneto and said, "It's nothing, I just felt a little emotional when I saw Wan Lao seeing him off." "Are you homesick?" Magi said with a smile. Qin Ji took a deep breath. "I have been alone since very early on, so family is a strange but familiar concept to me. More concepts about home are actually established after coming into this world. The reason why I hope to return to that world as soon as possible was because I was bound to that world. Now, although I have that idea, I am more nostalgic for the current world. Here are Wan Lao and Auntie who care about me, Li Chenming and others who fight together with me, Welsh and others who guide me, and even you who have formed an oath with me. So my bond with this world is even deeper now. But it is of course impossible for me to think about the world I once lived in. It's just like my first hometown, and my biggest wish is to go back and visit." Veneto immediately hugged Qin Ji's arm and said with a smile, "Commander, everything is uncertain in the future. Maybe there is a chance that we can go to your world. If there is that moment, he wants to take us around for a good time. A world without sirens and war is really curious. Indeed, I am also very curious about Commander's world." Bismarck tilted his head and said, "I also want to know about the current fate of Iron Blood." When Qin Ji thought about the strength of this group of people, each one was equivalent to a humanoid self-propelled battleship. According to the description in the file, such a battleship could compete with 2 aircraft carrier formations. If he brought back another 500 multiple. Well, to be honest, Qin Ji really doesn't dare to think about it. When such a fighting power appears in his world, to what level should the world's structure change? Well, if there is a chance, Qin Ji said with a helpless smile. In the past, he had thought that returning to his own world would be a long way off, perhaps even in this lifetime. But after meeting Song Kinga, maybe this idea can be realized. But what will I do after I go back? Should he continue to join the army and contribute his strength to the country? Perhaps for ordinary people, this is indeed a very good thing and idea, but for Qin Ji, this is not fair to his ship girl, nor is it fair to the world. So if you go back, at most you will just wander around the places you have visited and take souvenirs. It is absolutely impossible to live in that world. By the way, what will you do next, Commander? It's still a long time, we can't always stay at the Commander Academy, right? Richelieu asked. After I plan to stay here for a while, how about going to the mainland? Although you have taken a car, I believe you have never taken a train. There are trains from Shenhua City to the mainland. Let's go hiking. How about traveling and experiencing the inland scenery that is completely different from the sea? Qin Ji asked. This is a good idea. I hope everyone is active at the seaside. Compared to the inland areas, I really have never been there. If possible, I really want to go and see it, Veneto said, especially since the heritage of Donghuang has been a long-standing civilization. It must be like the Sardinian Empire, full of various relics, right? Qin Ji nodded. When I first came to this world, I also learned about the specific situation of Donghuang when I was looking for the way home. This place is similar to my world, both in terms of civilization and distribution of ruins. Same. So if I go traveling, I can work part-time as a tour guide and introduce it to everyone. Haha, Commander, don't forget, there are still many ship girls in Donghuang in our fleet. Your understanding of Donghuang's history is not inferior to yours. If we really want to visit the mainland, I believe we will also. You can help, Jinhai said from the side. Indeed, especially you, Haitian and Yuxian, they know the history and traditions of Donghuang very well. When the time comes, you don't have to worry too much, Qin Ji said. Then it's settled. Starting tomorrow, I will be responsible for discussing cooperation issues with Donghuang. When we finish talking, everyone will set off together, Bismarck said with a smile. Okay, there were echoing voices in the carriage, and it was obvious that everyone agreed. In the midst of such a pleasant chat, we returned to the Commander Academy together. And when Qin Ji went back, he saw the Prince of Wales in the guest house. It seemed that she had been sitting in the hall waiting for him, and she was accompanied by Kinwei and others. You are finally back. Where have you been today? Did you go out early in the morning? Asked the Prince of Wales. I'm going to the old street. Why are you so anxious about something that makes you wait for me here in person? Qin Ji asked doubtfully. The Prince of Wales suddenly said, I remember you once said that there is an old man in the old street, right? So you went to see him? Well, yes, they have helped me before. Without them, I would not have come to the Commander Academy, Qin Ji replied. Oh, I understand, the Prince of Wales nodded. The reason I came to you this time is to ask you to do a favor. Qin Ji asked doubtfully, help? Just tell me what you need me to do. As long as I can help, I'll do it without any hesitation. You still remember that you are the honorary tutor of our school, right? The Prince of Wales smiled. Of course I remember this, Qin Ji nodded, and then he immediately reacted, what do you mean? Yes, there will be an open class in the lecture hall tomorrow. I hope you can help me then. For it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 833. It always feels like it's back to the way it was before. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, Qin Ji looked at himself in the mirror and said to Belfast. Haha, but the master is now more mature than before, and more confident. After going through so many ups and downs, how can he be the same as before? Belfast said with a smile. Indeed, Qin Ji nodded, but I didn't expect that one day I would be able to stand on the podium. What the Dean Prince of Wales said was relatively simple. You just need to talk casually. If only it were that simple. I believe that Master will be able to successfully complete this class. After all, you have come here so many times before, and when you were in the port area, didn't you give them many classes at the Ship Girl Academy? Belfast smiled. I hope so. Chin-Ji smiled. After leaving the guest house, Chin-Ji and Belfast walked all the way towards the lecture hall, but when they passed by Mikasa's house, they saw her waiting outside the door early in the morning. Senior Mikasa, good morning. Chin-Ji greeted with a smile. Why are you standing here all the time? Are you saying you are waiting for someone? That's right, you're the one waiting for me. Mikasa smiled. The dean told me yesterday. How about it? I haven't given a lecture in more than 2 years. Have you figured out what to lecture on? Chin-Ji spread his hands and said, I really don't know how to talk about the time of a class. The dean really gave me a difficult problem. Haha, if it were someone else, I would still believe it, but I would never believe it if it were you. Mikasa smiled. Can such a simple thing be so difficult for you? Chin-Ji smiled helplessly. Yeah. In fact, you don't have to deliberately think about what you want to talk about. You may be able to understand what they want to know and solve their confusion. This kind of lecture is more meaningful than any kind of knowledge. Mikasa smiled upon seeing this. Senior Mikasa, this is a reminder to me. Chin-Ji said with a flash of inspiration in his heart. We just experienced such a tragic siren tide last year. Most of the commanders were killed. They must be a little confused about the future, or you start from this point. That's the best. It helps them build confidence and strengthen their ideals. This is indeed the most useful thing for them now. Mikasa smiled. Haha, let's go together then. It's almost time. I believe the dean is also anxious as he waits. Chin-Ji said with a smile. Good. Chatting with Mikasa, Chin-Ji got a more detailed understanding of the current situation of the college and the situation of this class of students, and he probably had a good idea. Not long after, the three of them arrived at the door of the lecture hall, and the Prince of Wales stood there. The dean has been waiting for a long time. Chin-Ji said politely. It hasn't been long. This open class hasn't started yet, the Prince of Wales said with a smile. So, have you thought about what to talk about? There are many people coming to listen to the class this time, including those around Shenhua City. Commanders. Chin-Ji smiled and said, I didn't have a clue at first, but Senior Mikasa just reminded me, and now I'm somewhat sure. Oh? In that case, I have to look forward to it from now on, said the Prince of Wales. After a brief chat, the bell for the preparatory class began to ring, and several people followed the Prince of Wales into the classroom. Looking around, there were quite a lot of people here today. In addition to the trainee commanders who were sitting upright, there were also many very senior commanders. Chin-Ji also saw a lot of familiar people inside, as well as many who had heard of them before. The commander of his class. The Prince of Wales walked directly to the podium and said to the audience, Good morning to all trainee commanders and commanders from Shenhua City, and welcome to this open class of the Commander Academy. For this open class, we have invited Commander Chin-Ji, the commander of the Zingai fleet and the honorary instructor of our Commander Academy, to explain to everyone. Thank you for sharing what you urgently want to know. Please give everyone a warm welcome. Loud applause began. Chin-Ji came to the podium under the gaze of everyone, and the Prince of Wales handed the podium to him with a gentle smile. Chin-Ji stood on the podium and waited until the continuous applause ended before he started to speak. Hello everyone, I am Chin-Ji. I am very happy to receive the invitation from Dean Prince of Wales to give this public class to everyone, Chin-Ji said with a smile. It has been more than 2 years and almost 3 years since I last stood on this podium to give a lecture. A lot of things have happened during this period, and both I and everyone have grown a lot. This time I am not going to talk about tactics or academic knowledge. I want to communicate more with you and answer your questions. As soon as Qin Ji's words came out, there was a burst of noisy discussion below, and then someone stood up with his hands raised. It was a commander with a higher military rank. He said to Qin Ji, "Teacher Qin Ji, I have listened to your lectures in the college before, and I learned a lot during the last Siren Tide. Thanks to your tactical knowledge, I successfully survived. Come down. And after that, I also heard the news that you led the fleet to help Dong Huang. Thank you very much for your efforts. The question I want to ask today is that in the face of the powerful sirens before, our defensive offensive seems a bit vulnerable. Under such circumstances, is it necessary for us to continue to explore the sea?" Qin Ji smiled and said, "I remember you. Although I don't know your name, I still remember your appearance. My answer to your question is that it is necessary to continue exploring the sea. From ancient times to the present, humans have experienced many setbacks, whether it is climate problems or the current sirens. But the reason why human beings can reach what they are now is because of unremitting persistence and hard work. I think that when the sirens first attacked, that was the time when mankind was most in crisis. If it weren't for the ship girl, I'm afraid mankind would have to say goodbye to the ocean forever. But even in such a critical moment, there are some people who continue to work hard to resist, and they are the first generation commanders. Therefore, this spirit has been gradually passed down, and continues until now to our generation. Our commanders are responsible for the fate of the entire human race. We cannot shrink back because of several setbacks and huge difficulties. Since we have chosen such a path, we must continue on unswervingly. Treat difficulties and hardships as our stepping stones, constantly improve our abilities and strengths, combine past experiences and lessons, and become more courageous, fight for our mission, and fight to protect our homeland. If we commanders really want to have a destination, then I believe that our destination will definitely be the sea as a battlefield. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 834. The bell rang for the end of Get Out of Class. Amidst the applause, Qin Ji saluted everyone in the lecture hall, then turned and left the podium. When they walked outside, they could already see the Prince of Wales and the others waiting there. Several people came to the preparation room next to the lecture hall together, and the Prince of Wales kept expressing his gratitude to Qin Ji. The dean is serious. As the honorary tutor of the college, this is what I should do. Now is the time when they are confused. Only by overcoming this difficulty can they truly establish a spirit that cannot be defeated or delayed. Benchmark. I believe that you and Commander-in-Chief Yuxian have methods for this. I am just a small pusher, and it will be up to you next. Qin Ji said with a smile. It would be great if other people could see things as clearly as you do. The Prince of Wales smiled, but if they all see things as clearly as you do, there would be no need for the Commander Academy. Qin Ji smiled, actually, sometimes I am also very confused. Regarding this world and our future, I didn't find my own direction until some time ago, so I will keep working hard and lead my ship girls to continue victory until the very end. It's best to think like this. Maybe the world will really rely on you and your fleet in the future. It may be irresponsible to say this, but the gap between the 9 major camps and you is slowly starting to get bigger and bigger. Now, all we can do is assist you, and hope you can stick to your beliefs until the last moment, said the Prince of Wales. It can't be said that, although our strength is gradually getting stronger, we still need everyone's joint efforts to change the pattern of this world. We have always been a member of Azalane, and no matter how powerful we are, our original intention remains the same. We will unite all the forces that can be united and use this power to defeat any conspiracy of the Siren and return the world to peace. Qin Ji said. And this is why I signed a cooperation agreement with the 9 major camps. I hope I can do more things for this world. Haha, I understand. The Prince of Wales smiled. In short, Dong Huang's performance this time will definitely satisfy you. By the way, After the cooperation negotiations with Dong Huang are completed, what are your next plans? Have you been resting and recuperating in the Commander Academy, or are you planning to go somewhere else? Qin Ji smiled and said, I'm going to go to the mainland and take the train with everyone. Is Dong Huang inland? The Prince of Wales was a little surprised, and then became relieved. This is a very interesting idea, but the inland is different from the coast. The existence of sirens and ship girls is rarely publicized there, so I am a little worried. If you try to go there with so much, I'm afraid it will cause a commotion. So when the time comes, I will contact Yuxian and ask her to contact the inland management personnel. It is best to issue a special certificate or pass for you to avoid getting angry when you encounter some troubles. There are lessons learned from these things, so the Prince of Wales has to pay attention to them. There was once a commander who took his ship girl to travel inland. The ship girl was molested by an unreasonable stranger. As a result, she suddenly exploded and took out his 406 naval gun and blasted her with one shot. She almost missed her. Destroyed a tourist attraction. Moreover, Qin Ji's fleet is much stronger than some ordinary commanders, and there are even maritime legends, ships, and embers among them. Once such a lineup is wronged, the power that will burst out is simply terrifying. At worst, an area was destroyed, and at worst, a city was reduced to ruins. The inland is the main logistics point for fighting the sirens in the coastal areas. Although the two belong to different parts of governance, they are also interdependent, so this kind of thing must not happen. Qin Ji saw that the Prince of Wales was a little nervous and couldn't help but rub his nose and said, Is it necessary to be so nervous? At least I am a reasonable person. Just because you are reasonable doesn't mean that your ship girl is reasonable. For example, someone suddenly thought Akage Kaga was good looking, so he made some teasing remarks. How do you think the two of them would react? The Prince of Wales rolled his eyes. Ahem. Qin Ji coughed, maybe you are right, we really need to make arrangements. Akage and Kaga were teased. Qin Ji never imagined this scene, but if we talk about the consequences, it must be inevitable. After all, according to the character of those two people who must repay their flaws, they will definitely not give up until the city is destroyed. He might be able to stop them, but the price must be to agree to some treaties that would be humiliating to the country. Thinking about it, these Qin guests are a bit big, so it is better to nip them in the cradle. Haha, don't be so nervous. Most people won't take the initiative to do stupid things. These are just in case. In fact, it is better to visit the inland. The inland of Dong Huang is different from other camps. With thousands of years of cultural heritage, there are many places worth visiting. So after I communicate with Yuxian, I will give you the information, and then you can set off. As for the funds needed for this trip, we will bear it in full, said the Prince of Wales. Ah, why are you so embarrassed? Qin Ji said in surprise. As for money, I still have some money. From the time I entered the Commander's Academy until now, I haven't used much of my allowance or anything else. I still have more than 2 million yuan. Just so and so, it's enough for a little trip. The Prince of Wales smiled and said, haha, your little money is enough. Are you going to travel inland? Although you only brought Dong Huang and Chongying camps this time, there are at least close to 100 people. So it's equivalent to only having 10,000 to 20,000 yuan for travel expenses per person, and the tour lasts almost a month. Do you really think this amount of money is enough? Qin Ji touched his nose and said, how about I go find Akashi to sell some supplies? How do I say hello to you? The Prince of Wales said helplessly. I think you should understand that every battleship is an important weapon of the country and is made with money, so they are very delicate. Especially, now is the era of rampant wars, and each of them plays a very important role, not to mention your ship girl. So just follow what I say. In fact, Our funds also need to be spent. No matter how we spend them, they are spent, so spending them on you is the same. Anyway, just treat this trip as a publicly funded tour. All conditions must be the best, and the pomp and ceremony should be as grand as possible. Although doing this may attract others' attention or become the focus, it also reduces the possibility of being harassed in some ways. And it can also give your ship girl the best travel experience. I think this is okay. Chinji and Belfast looked at each other. Okay, then I'll do what you said.